All right. Welcome back to another deep dive
Yeah.
into history.
Yeah.
And this one is particularly relevant, I think, for all of you out there
Sure.
who are prepping for the UPSC exams,
Mm-hmm.
especially focusing on modern Indian history.
Yep.
So last time, if you recall, we kind of set the stage with the arrival of the Portuguese in India.
Yep.
And today, we're really going to deep dive, like the name of the show, into the lives of some of these pivotal Portuguese governors who really shaped the empire in India.
Right.
And our guide for this is a document called Portuguese Governors in India.
Okay.
It's got a really long title. I'm not going to even try to say the whole thing.
Sure.
But anyway, so let's jump into this. This is super relevant, I think, for the GS1 paper.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
One of the things that our source highlights is this major shift in 1505, a move from those early yearly expeditions that the Portuguese were sending out to the establishment of a permanent governor in India.
Yeah.
What do you think prompted this change?
Well, I think, if you think about it, yearly expeditions just weren't really cutting it anymore.
Yeah. Starting to gain a foothold.
A
significant foothold in the Indian Ocean, right?
Yeah.
But
managing that from afar.
Managing that presence from so far away, it's got to be pretty challenging.
Yeah, very.
So they need somebody, right? They need somebody
on the ground.
On the ground. They need someone to kind of be there.
To represent the crown's.
To represent the crown's interests.
Right.
To manage this vast.
To manage this vast territory.
These vast territories.
Yeah. And I mean, also to control.
Yeah, and also like the rivalries that inevitably arise.
Yeah, internal rivalries.
Rivalries are brewing up.
Right.
Ambitious venture.
Right. It's just like any ambitious venture, you're going to have these little power struggles.
Internal power struggles.
So they needed someone there to kind of control it.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah. So essentially, it was all about establishing a more
the company sending out sales reps and saying
efficient system of control.
All right, we're going to actually put like a CEO in charge of this whole region.
It's a good analogy.
Kind of like that. Yeah. All right. So who is this first governor? Who is this first guy tasked with shaping this new era of the Portuguese presence in India? So that would be Francisco de Almeida, appointed in 1505.
Okay.
And he was actually given the grand title of Viceroy.
Viceroy.
It's essentially the king's representative.
The king's representative in India.
In India.
Wow. So he had a pretty important role.
Huge role.
So what were some of the things that Almeida did to kind of solidify
he was really
Portuguese dominance,
pivotal in establishing their control over maritime trade in the Indian Ocean, and particularly his victory at the Battle of Diu in 1509. That was a major turning point.
Okay, so this wasn't just a battle. This was like
it was a statement.
Yeah, this was a statement.
Declaration of Portuguese naval supremacy. Okay,
so they were kind of flexing a little.
Showing their strength.
Okay. Now, the source also mentions something intriguing. It says something about
his blue water policy.
His blue water policy.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Yes, the blue water policy.
Okay.
It reveals a lot about his strategic thinking.
Okay.
He prioritized naval strength over building those land-based forts.
So instead of...
So it was all about controlling the sea.
Yeah.
Believing that it was the key to controlling trade and ultimately power in the region.
So it's kind of like a mobile fortress, right?
Like a mobile fortress, always on the move, always ready to...
Always on the move. Always ready to strike.
Exactly.
Right.
So this focus on naval power became a hallmark of Portuguese strategy in the region.
Okay. Now, there's a twist in the story.
There is a twist, right? Our source mentions that Almeida actually
arrested Afonso de Albuquerque.
Arrests Afonso de Albuquerque.
Why would he do that?
Right.
That seems...
That's a very interesting...
counterproductive, no.
Fascinating bit of history and highlights the complexities of power and ambition.
Okay.
Because as you'll see, Albuquerque went on to become the second governor. But it seems like there is tension from the start.
Right.
Perhaps differing views on how to best manage the Portuguese Empire.
Yeah, so it sounds like...
a clash of personalities.
Yeah, a clash of personalities. Like the established leader versus
the ambitious newcomer.
Ambitious newcomer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're intrigued. We're intrigued by this Albuquerque fellow.
Right, as you should be.
Yeah.
Because our source describes him as the real founder.
The real founder.
Of Portuguese power.
Of Portuguese power in the East.
Yeah, so quite a claim.
Okay, that's, I mean...
considering Almeida's...
considering what Almeida just did.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right.
This guy must be...
so Albuquerque was really a...
this guy must have done some things.
Strategic mastermind.
Yeah, what were some of the things that...
with a vision for a vast and lasting empire.
that Albuquerque did to earn...
so he was all about
very bold.
Strategic acquisitions.
Okay, so he could...
he made some key string of incredibly important locations.
Okay, so...
Goa, Malacca, Muscat, and Hormuz.
Goa, Malacca, Muscat, and Hormuz.
Yeah.
I mean, these weren't just...
these weren't just random...
the random places. No. Each one controlled key trade routes.
These were vital.
Essentially giving the Portuguese a chokehold.
Right.
On the flow of goods across the Indian Ocean.
So he was essentially building the infrastructure. So it wasn't just through military might, but through controlling these lifelines of trade.
Or more power. Right.
Exactly. And to further solidify this power, military might established the first Portuguese mint in the East.
So this is like...
underlining the importance.
Yeah, the first mint.
In the East.
Alongside territorial expansion.
He understands that real power rests not just on controlling the seas, but also controlling the money.
Right, and the
purse strings.
Yeah.
The economics.
Absolutely.
All right, so...
now, after Albuquerque's rule, we encounter a familiar name.
Okay.
Vasco da Gama.
Vasco da Gama.
Remember him?
Yeah, so we were talking about him...
from our previous deep dive.
In the last...
the one who first opened the sea route to India, 1498.
Deep dive. The guy who discovered this whole route to India in 1498.
What a journey.
From explorer to the head of the very empire.
His third trip.
His voyages helped establish...
in India.
Now, sad
but this time, in 1524...
his tenure was cut short.
He returns.
Yeah.
Our source notes that he died from malaria. Just a few months after arriving.
Died from malaria.
Yeah.
Just a few months after arriving.
Imagine that.
So even with all the power and ambition.
A stark reminder of the harsh realities of the time.
This is quite a...
these individuals were still vulnerable.
Yeah, quite a reminder.
To the perils of disease.
Yeah, that certainly was.
Things weren't so easy back then.
Yeah, it underscores the immense challenges the Portuguese faced in building...
So following Vasco da Gama's...
and maintaining their empire.
Brief stint.
Right, yeah.
We have Nuno da Cunha stepping in as the 9th governor in 1529.
Stepping in as the 9th governor.
Okay, that's right.
So...
Cuna's rule marks another significant shift. He decided to move the capital from Cochin to Goa.
Okay. Shift in 1530.
So he moves the capital from Cochin to Goa in 1530.
That would have lasting implications.
So why Goa? What made Goa so special?
Well, Goa had a natural harbor, fertile land, and it was strategically positioned for trade.
Okay.
It had all the ingredients to become a major Portuguese center.
All right.
Both economically and administratively.
He didn't stop at just moving the capital, did he?
He didn't stop at just moving the capital.
Did he do any territorial expansion?
Our source mentions a whole string of acquisitions.
What else did he do?
Under his rule. Dio, Bassin, Salsette, Bombay.
Okay. Dio, Bassin, Salsette, Bombay.
Santhome and Hooghly.
Santhome and Hooghly. I mean, these are names.
He even had dealings with Bahadur Shah of Gujarat.
Recognized today, right?
A powerful ruler of the time.
So I mean, these guys weren't just, administrators.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how these governors weren't just administrators.
They were military leaders.
They were. They were military leaders. They were diplomats.
They rolled into one.
It's like a multifaceted...
They absolutely were.
They were shaping the destiny of the Portuguese Empire in India, navigating a...
All right, so let's
fast forward.
Complex web of alliances, conflicts, trade relations.
Yeah, a few centuries.
So now let's fast forward a few centuries to our final governor on this list.
Final governor, a man named?
Manuel Antonio Vassallo y Silva.
All right, Manuel Antonio Vassallo y Silva. He served as the 128th and final...
128th and final.
Governor of Portuguese India.
Governor of Portuguese India.
Holding office from 1958 to 1961.
Okay, so this is 1958
a poignant
to 1961.
An end to an era.
A poignant end to an era.
Right.
So,
and his tenure coincides
with a momentous event.
Coincides with
Operation Vijay in 1961.
A pretty big event.
Right.
Operation Vijay.
This operation, led by the Indian government,
in 1961,
resulted in the annexation.
And
resulted in
and other remaining Portuguese territories finally bringing an end to over 450 years.
The Portuguese territories.
The Portuguese rule in India.
Yeah. This brought an end to over 450 turning point of Portuguese rule in India.
And with that, the Portuguese chapter.
And with that,
India.
The Portuguese chapter in India comes to a close.
Comes to a close.
But their legacy.
But their legacy, as we're already seeing.
Yeah, I mean, as we're already seeing, is far-reaching.
Is far-reaching and complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
And complex.
We've just touched upon the major figures.
I mean, we've just touched.
But understanding their actions and decisions is
crucial for grasping.
Yeah, and I think, to
the nuances of this period.
To really grasp what was going on here.
It's about understanding the connections.
Yeah, you got to understand the
motivations and the long-term consequences.
Long-term consequences. Okay. All right, well, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Because in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to delve further into these governors' strategies and really analyze the lasting impacts of their decisions.
All right.
So we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Welcome back to our deep dive into those Portuguese governors of India.
Right.
Reflecting on Almeida's blue water policy from our last segment.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, did this relentless focus on naval power truly serve the Portuguese well?
Yeah, in the long run.
Really question. On the one hand, they were able to really control those trade routes.
Those crucial trade routes.
And really project their power.
And project their power.
Across
vast stretches.
Across vast stretches of the Indian Ocean.
And
respond.
They could respond
swiftly to threats and maintain a flexible presence.
They were like,
I don't know.
Almost like a rapid response team.
Like a rapid response team. Like
just always ready to go. Always on the move.
But
some historians argue that this emphasis on sea power came at a cost. While they held key port cities, their control over the interior regions of India remained limited.
Really?
It was a trade-off.
Establishing routes.
Maritime supremacy in exchange for limited territorial control.
So they were like kind of patrolling the coast, but not...
Patrolling the coast, but not necessarily establishing deep routes inland.
Going inland too much.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. And do you think that eventually contributed to their decline?
Contributed to their decline in India.
In India. It's certainly a factor worth considering.
Yeah.
Other European powers, like the Dutch and the British, would later adopt a more balanced approach.
Yeah.
Combining their naval strength.
With strategic land acquisitions.
So it's like a game.
They seem to have learned from the Portuguese experience.
Right. Yeah, it's like a brilliant analogy.
To control the sea.
To truly dominate the board, you need to control both the sea and the land. And speaking of strategic acquisitions, that brings us back to Afonso de Albuquerque.
Afonso de Albuquerque.
Who really understood.
Who really seemed to...
the importance of controlling those vital locations along the trade routes?
How that game was played. All right, so Goa, Malacca, Muscat, Hormuz. I mean, these weren't just
these weren't
random places, right?
These were pivotal points.
These were vital
in that intricate web of trade routes that crisscross the Indian Ocean. And his capture of Goa in 1510.
Yeah, the capture of Goa was particularly significant.
That was a big one.
It became the capital of Portuguese India and blossomed into a thriving center of commerce and culture.
Right.
Even today, the unique blend of Portuguese and Indian influences in Goa
I mean, we see that
stands as a testament to his enduring legacy.
Even today. And I remember we were talking earlier about
under Albuquerque, we also saw the establishment of the first Portuguese mint
in the East. Right.
Another strategic move that solidified their economic power.
By Albuquerque.
Right.
So, I mean, it wasn't just about
conquering territory. It was about building a lasting empire with a strong economic foundation.
Controlling the economy as well.
Controlling the currency, controlling the economy. It was all connected.
I mean, these governors were...
It's mind-boggling to consider the challenges.
Not just military leaders. No. They faced...
They were, I mean...
And it's easy to forget that these were real individuals.
Administrators.
Making decisions that impacted the lives of millions.
Economic strategists.
Their stories remind us that history is not...
They had to, you know,
build... It's about dates and names.
It's a mini Portugal on the other side of the world.
Understanding the choices, both grand and small.
They had to navigate
that shape the course of events.
These complex cultural and political landscapes and make sure that those spices and textiles and other commodities were flowing back to Europe.
Okay, now shifting gears.
It's quite a task.
A bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Nuno da Cunha.
No, we were
talking governor of
moved the Portuguese capital to Goa.
The guy who moved...
Our source also mentions
capital to Goa.
His territorial expansion.
Right.
Diu, Basen, Salsette, Bombay.
And we were talking...
These names are quite familiar to us in present-day India.
His territorial expansions.
Indeed.
Right. Diu, Basen, Salsette, Bombay.
Cunha's role represents a period of...
Right, these are
significant territorial consolidation.
Names we recognize.
For the Portuguese.
Yeah.
And his interactions with Bahadur Shah of Gujarat.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a powerful figure in the region.
It's fascinating to see how...
highlight the complex political dynamics at play.
The
Portuguese weren't operating in a vacuum. They had to contend with local rulers, forge alliances, and adapt to a constantly shifting landscape of power.
With
like a giant puzzle.
Those local rulers, right?
To understand the Portuguese presence.
Like this giant puzzle.
The intricate power struggles.
You gotta understand.
The power struggles
within India itself.
The relationships.
It's all interconnected. And this brings us to our final governor.
Really?
Manuel Antonio Vassallo y Silva.
Understand the
last Portuguese governor.
Portuguese presence, right?
Of India.
Yeah.
His tenure.
And this is where we get to our final governor.
Marks the end.
Manuel Antonio Vassallo y Silva.
Of an era.
Yeah, and this really does...
A bittersweet end, you could say.
Vassallo
y Silva's rule coincided with the rise of Indian nationalism and a global shift in power dynamics.
Bittersweet.
The days of European colonialism were numbered.
End, you could say.
Exactly. This
operation coincided
in 1961, which led to the annexation of Goa and other Portuguese territories.
Indian nationalism
was a culmination of these forces.
Right. And a global shift.
It was a momentous event.
In power dynamics.
Signifying the end.
This is...
the Portuguese rule in India. And
the beginning of the end.
Symbolic victory for India's independence movement.
Colonialism.
Right.
So,
what a dramatic end.
Operation VJ in 1961.
To over 450 years.
Yeah.
Of Portuguese presence.
Resulted in
but it also
the annexation of Goa.
Opens up so many questions about the legacies of colonialism, the impact on Indian society, and the long-term consequences
of
this historical event.
Really was a culmination.
These are crucial questions, and while we may not be able to fully unpack them all here,
I view these forces, right?
It's important.
It signified the end,
especially for our UPSC aspirants
of Portuguese rule,
to be aware of these complexities.
In India, and a symbolic...
History is not about memorizing facts. It's about analyzing India's independence movement.
Questioning and understanding the nuances of the past.
This is really a dramatic end.
And as we think about the Portuguese legacy in India...
over 450.
It's evident in so many aspects of our nation today. From the architecture and cuisine to the diverse cultural tapestry. It's all interwoven. Understanding these historical roots.
You can
it's not just about passing exams. It's about understanding ourselves.
Everywhere.
Our nation. And
our place in the world.
The architecture. In the cuisine. In the...
Absolutely.
Just this diverse... cultural tapestry.
Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
so
how about we let's turn our attention to a unique aspect of the Portuguese presence in India.
Part of
their currency dive, I think.
Stay tuned, because in the next segment we'll explore how these coins provide a fascinating lens,
a unique aspect
through which to view their economic and cultural influence.
The Portuguese presence in India, and that is their currency.
Right.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. As promised, we're going to be focusing on a unique aspect of the Portuguese presence in India.
Their currency. It's fascinating how something as like seemingly simple as a coin can really offer us a glimpse into, a bygone era.
It's true. Numismatics, the study of coins, can be incredibly revealing. And when it comes to the Portuguese in India, their currency played a crucial role in establishing their, economic dominance.
So where does the story of Portuguese currency in India begin? I mean, earlier we were talking about Afonso de Albuquerque.
Right.
And I distinctly remember his decision to establish the first Portuguese mint in the East. You have a sharp memory. That was a strategic masterstroke on his part. It essentially allowed the Portuguese to control the flow of currency within their territories and even beyond. They issued gold, silver, and bronze coins, often incorporating local designs, but with the unmistakable mark of the Portuguese crown.
So they blended the familiar.
Exactly. But these coins weren't just symbols. They facilitated trade, they standardized transactions, and effectively integrated the Portuguese economy with, existing Indian networks.
So they're laying the groundwork for a whole new economic order.
Precisely.
And the impact was significant, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
This Portuguese currency wasn't just accepted within their
it wasn't just
controlled territories. It actually spread.
Within their territories, it spread.
To neighboring regions.
To neighboring regions as well.
Wow. So their economic influence extended
and it's your testament
far beyond their direct control.
Economic prowess. I can almost picture, those coins changing hands in bustling marketplaces, connecting merchants from various cultures and continents.
Yeah, it's like a real vivid image.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, and likely very accurate. These coins weren't,
I think so,
static objects, right?
Absolutely. They were instruments of exchange.
Facilitating the movement.
Facilitating the movement.
Of goods.
He is.
And cultures across this vast...
Indian Ocean world.
Indian Ocean. Yeah. For our UPSC aspirants listening, studying these coins can really unlock a deeper understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of the economic and administrative...
I mean, your
systems of that era.
Piecing together...
a historical puzzle with each coin.
Each coin revealing
another clue, right?
Another clue.
I mean, what's exciting is that
These coins
are still out there.
Still out there, right?
Some are in museums. Some
are in museums.
In private collection.
Some in private collection.
And who knows?
Well, who knows, right?
Some might even still be unearthed in those archaeological digs.
Might even still be unearthed in archaeological digs.
Each one is a tangible link.
The
past.
Tangible links to the past.
Yeah, imagine
the stories they could tell.
The stories. But
even without physically holding one.
Just
knowing about their existence.
Just knowing about their existence.
Significance enriches our understanding.
You know, it reminds us.
It reminds us that history isn't just confined to textbooks. Waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, it's all around us. It's waiting to be discovered. So as we wrap up this deep dive. Into the
Portuguese governors in India. But how we leave our listeners?
How about we leave our listeners with a
thought-provoking question to ponder. What if you consider how the introduction of Portuguese currency and their economic policies influenced the broader transformations happening in India during this period? How did this impact India's own economic trajectory in the long term?
Wow, that's
it encourages us.
What a brilliant
conversation.
it encourages us
about the interconnectedness of history, the lasting impact of economic policies, and how seemingly small things.
What about the interconnectedness?
Like coins can play a pivotal role.
It really
shaping the course of events.
Makes you think about how these seemingly small things like coins really impacted history.
So it seems we've explored quite a bit in this deep dive.
Yeah, we've
from the lives and legacies of those
we've explored a lot
influential Portuguese governors
in this deep dive
to the fascinating world of their
from the lives and legacies of these
the deeper understanding
influential Portuguese governors to this fascinating world.
Special period in Indian history.
Their currency, I think, we've gained a deeper understanding of this.
No, it's been just a deep dive has provided valuable insights.
Purple period.
And fresh perspectives.
For your GS1 preparation.
And for you,
remember, history.
Dedicated UPSC aspirants out there.
Isn't just about rote memorization.
I hope this deep dive
has provided you
with
the connections, the complexity,
valuable insights, right?
And the human stories that shape our world.
Fresh perspectives for you.
Absolutely. So keep exploring, keep asking questions.
GS1 preparation.
And keep diving deep into those fascinating
depths of history.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this deep dive with your fellow history enthusiasts.
Understanding the connections, the complexities.
Until next time, keep those minds engaged.
And the human stories that shape our world.
So keep exploring, keep asking those questions, keep diving deep into those fascinating depths of history. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and share this deep dive with all of your fellow history enthusiasts.